Hello, my dear friends. A very warm welcome on another session for Salesforce Advanced Admin session. Today, we are going to cover the process builders. It is another automation process. Which automation process did we did earlier? Yes, you are right. We did workflows. In workflows, we find out depending on different criteria which all actions we can perform. Hope you guys have created all the workflows depending on all the three criterias and all the three actions that can be performed in our workflow, right? Time dependent and time independent. Yes, I remember. I'll show you the task that we created 1 hour after our creation or updation of a record. So let's begin with process builders. What is a process builder? How can we automate any process with the help of process builders? And how we can create one. This is what we are going to cover in today's presentation. So let's begin. What is a structure of our process builder? Or what exactly is a process builder? Process builder helps you automate your business process and gives you a graphical representation as you build it. Right? In workflows, we had a simple selection criteria that whether it's created, points and clicks we were having, or we had a criteria in which we specified there was no graphical representation or there was no pictorial representation of what we can do in our workflow. So in order to ease the things, we created process builders. And there are many actions other than the workflows that we can perform with the help of process builders. In workflows, we saw that we had only 4 actions. You guys can name it, right? You can create a task, you can send an email, you can send an outbound message, and you can update a field. We are going to see in process builders what all things we can do, right? So in order to define that, first we need to understand in which all scenarios our process builder is going to fire, right? Our process builder can be fired either on a record change, whether a record is created or updated. This is the same criteria that we did in our workflow also, created or edited, right? Or the process builder can be invoked from another process. Okay, I have one process builder that is related to contacts object. Okay, and I want to perform some actions to be done on the account object also, right? On changing of a contact of a person, right? So changing the contact will invoke another process builder that is going to perform some operations on the account object. So a process is invoked from another process. Okay. And each process or each process builder also has the three conditions that we did previously also. We had two conditions there, criteria and action. That's it. In process builder, we have criteria's action and a stop statement at the end of every branching. Criteria is the same condition, the if and then operator that we did for our workflows. It is what the if condition says. If I if no one is there at my place, then I can action says then I can party at my place, right? So I'll read through. Criteria is that determines when the execution of an action group, when to execute an action, right? And action group says action consists of immediate and scheduled actions. Like we had in our workflows, we can perform any of the action either on an immediate basis or we can schedule it. Same way, we have actions in process builder also. And as I mentioned, we need to have a stop statement at the end of every branch. So without wasting any time, we will go into our org and we'll see what our process builder does. I'll click on setup. I'll go to process builder. We are going to break the process builder modules into two portions. Okay. First, I am going to tell you how we can do the basic creation and what all criteria that we can fill in. And in the same way, in the next module, I'll explain you which all actions we can do, like we did for our workflows. It brings you an ease of understanding, right? So I'll show you guys again. From setup, I wrote in process builder. Clicking on this process builder, you will be navigated to a Lightning process builder page, right? It is Lightning enabled. Okay. I'll click on new. It's the top right hand side where you can see the new button. I'll give a name of this process builder. Like we normally do, we'll give first process builder. Okay. I'll click on tab. It gives the API name. It's a description. Okay. The first thing that it shows here is this process starts when a record is changed, a platform event message is received, it's invoked from another process, right? We considered these two portions when a record is changed and invoked from another process, and we can also run the process builder when a platform event is received. Platform event is a kind of a object that we have within our system, right? Normally in our objects, everything is enabled with underscore underscore C. Platform events are navigated or resembled as underscore underscore E. When we'll do some coding stuff, then you'll be getting a clear picture of what platform events are. So firstly, for this process, I am going to select a record change process start. Okay, whenever there is a change in a record, this process will fire. I will go and save it. It is a blank representation. It gives you a representation. It's a picture in front of you that you can create everything. The start says we can specify the object. Like in workflows also, we were clicking on next and we were able to select which object. The first step was which object that you want to run the criteria. Okay, right? We are going to do the same, sending an email, or we can select an account object. We'll create everything on account. Okay, on only when a record is created, we'll go with the first step. In advance, we are going to see the allow process to evaluate a record multiple times in a single transaction. If you select yes, this process can evaluate the same record up to 5 times in a single transaction. Okay. When we are going to update a particular records, then this process might help. I've selected on record create. I'll click on save. So I will not be able to change the object now. It's selected. It is selected. Now I cannot change which object that I want to perform the process builder on. I can just select that either on record create, on record create and update. I can run this process. Okay. So the next step says the criteria. When your process builder starts, you have selected the object. It is going to enter into a decision statement that is your criteria. Your criteria is either going to evaluate as true or it's going to evaluate as false. If it's going to evaluate as false, then we can add in more actions to create something else, right? So if I add in the criteria, I'll give some name to it. First account criteria. Okay. When the condition is met. what all conditions that we want. We want that account email should not be null. I'll write an email. This is the same field. Our account I'll clone this up. I'll move back to setup. I'll see in account whether we have an email field or not. Okay, we are not having. So we'll go into the process builder and we'll select the email field that we have, the standard email field, and I'll choose that field. Where did it go? Yep, standard email field equals string, yeah, not equals to, I'll specify to not equal to null, right? This is the first condition that we also had in our workflow also. We created that on contact object, but we are creating here on uh, account object. It's one and the same thing that we can fire in the email, fire in uh, the email to that particular address that we have in our account. Okay. And we want some conditions else, then we can also use the same. Our name should not be blank. Account name, choose it, do not equal to null. Okay. Conditions are met. Same way we have formula evaluates to true, it is going to give you a formula builder that we have. Now the conditions are still available. It's going to give you the formula operator or something in which you can perform in. It's similar to the formula builder that we have for our validations, for our formula fields, for our workflows. All the criteria that we have in there is one and the same thing. We can search for the fields. We can search for the functions. If you're using some system variables, we can use in the operators, and we can also run this without any condition. No criteria, just execute the action. So it is going to go through account. It's just going to bypass this because it says no criteria, just execute the action. So it's going to the immediate action. It will directly navigate in there and is going to perform whichever actions that we have specified in there. Okay. So I'll go with the conditions are met. Now, in workflows, if you can relate, we had a condition in which we can change the logic. In similar fashion, we can change the logic in here. All conditions are and, all conditions are or we can customize the logic. 1 or 2 and 3, any combination of logic that we can build in, we can go through in this condition section. For us, it is mandatory to have all those values for the email and for the name to not being null. So we are going to select the and condition. If we go a bit below, we have a save button in here. I'll zoom it. If you guys can see it through. Um, I hope you guys can now see the save and the cancel button. This button is being present in here from the starting itself. So we can click on the save. After doing the save, the conditions that we have filled in are going to set in up. We can change any of the condition whenever we want, which field we want to edit, or if we want to update some formula expression, we can do so. If you want to change the customization logic, we can also do that, right? And we can completely delete the criteria. You can see the save, cancel, and delete, right? After filling in the criteria, you saw that previously we had a stop condition here, right? Now it gave us another panel. If we want, we can perform any of the further actions, okay? So now coming to a section where we saw that which all criteria that we can perform in: conditions are met, formula evaluates true, and no criteria, just execute the action. We saw all these things, right? So I wanted to show you one thing more. If I go to account, right, object where we specified, we can see that we have immediate action and scheduled action, right? And we are doing this on a criteria when the record is created. What happens if we click on when a record is created or edited? I'll click on this and we'll click on save. Where did the update action, the time dependent action, went? In workflows, also, if I go to workflow, I missed this part while explaining the workflow. Whenever we are having a workflow, which criterias we had? We had three criterias, right? Created, created and every time it's edited, right? We had these criterias. The second point says created and every time it's edited. It says you cannot add time dependent action with this option. So when this option is selected, I cannot create a time dependent workflow. Even though I deactivate it, right? I'll click on edit. I won't be able to create a time dependent action. You cannot add a time dependent action because the evaluation criteria is every time the record is created or edited, right? In the same manner, in the process builder, whenever we have an option of when the record is created or edited, we cannot have a time dependent operation. Okay, but I want to show some time dependent action. That was a limitation of our workflow. But in process builder, we have overcome this challenge by one thing that we can do in the criteria itself. What we can do is, do you want to execute the action? In criteria we went, after account we have selected in when the record is created or edited. In criteria we went all the criteria that we have filled in. After that we have an advanced option. In the advanced option we saw that, do you want to execute the action only when specified changes are made to the record? If we click on yes, any specified change is made to the record. If we click on yes, then it's going to show me the scheduled action. You got it? Do you want to execute the action only when specified changes are made to the record? So it's going to see the conditions. It's going to change a particular field within our record. Then we can use a scheduled action within our process builder. So in short, we overcame the problem of the time dependent workflow within our edited and created action, right? Created and edited criteria, we saw that now we can update a schedule action. So what does it says? When you select yes, the actions are executed only if the record meets the criteria now, but the values that the record had immediately before it was saved didn't meet criteria. It's the same thing, the third option that we had within our flows. In our workflows, we had the third criteria that says when the criteria subsequently meet the condition, right? It's exactly the same thing. This action is executed only if the record meets the criteria now, but the value that the record had immediately before it was saved without meeting criteria. This means that these actions won't be executed when irrelevant changes are made. The one that we did for account revenue changes, like 10K, we have specified within our field criteria that we have specified, right? And I'll specify that too. And if we had 10K or 1000K as the value, it's not going to do the schedule update action, right? It's not going to perform the schedule actions. It's going to perform the schedule action only when the condition changes from false to true. I'll annual revenue, I'll add it greater than 10K. Okay, I'll save it. You got it, guys? In the workflow, we had the three conditions. In here, we had the two conditions, and we achieved the third condition of the subsequently meeting criteria in our criteria itself, where the advanced option says we can do so, right? In the initial, we had only the criteria of creation of the record and creation of and updation of the record, right? So now moving on to the actions. Which all actions we can perform? You guys got it. Immediate action, schedule actions, and a stop operator that we have. If I click on stop, to continue the process after evaluation this criteria, define the next node. Okay, right. The changes that we have made till now are saved within our process builder. It's not been activated yet because we have just created the object and just created the criteria, right? In the next module, we are going to cover which all actions that we can perform in with the help of process builders. Okay, so that's it in today's presentations. Have a great week ahead. Thank you.